got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back. George Morgan here at your service. It's PSGL, it's Wednesday night, it's Spain tonight as well. Lots on the table, lots of battling. The title contest is still alive and kicking. And Jack, it's only taken us 10 rounds. We're on the 11th. It's all to play for.
Boromant goes on the inside and takes the lead on the final lap of the race. Now it's side by side between Boromant and Warner, but Boromant's got the inside.
A guest star here in this phenomenal race. Cameron Dowd looking to take P2 in his very first PSGL F1 PC race. Incredible to say the least. You see that beautiful lead. 1.5 seconds. DRS is the name.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to PSGL here for round 5 of the PC F2 Championship. Unfortunately, Danny's ill yet again, so joining me yet again is Mr. Chris Buxton. Chris, hello, welcome in Austria tonight. Are you excited? It's a bit better than Monaco, isn't it?
Did you don't need an answer to that question. Yeah, as I said, I'm not a fan of Monaco. This track, though, very big fan. Love Austria. Love the Red Bull Ring. This is going to be very intense. One of the shortest laps, if not the shortest lap as far as time is concerned. There's a lot of right foot. Expect a lot of action up at Remus. Probably Schlossgold as well as turns 3 and 4. Or 2 and 3, depending on your outlook on what the turn numbers actually are. Not opening that can of worms. Yeah, I love this track. I'm a big fan of it. Can't race it for love nor money. No matter what I've tried to drive around it, I'm hopeless. But it's such a brilliant circuit. It's really flowing. Very big elevation change top to bottom. Love it. Can't wait.
Yep, it's a beautiful track, and it's also a track I can't drive. If we look through the track, we'll look on the track map quickly at the circuit. Turn number 1. I end up going wide and spinning at the exit. Turn number 3/turn number 2, I end up locking up and going straight on. Turn number 4, I end up locking up and going straight on. Turn number 7, I lose the rear. Turns number 9, I go wide and lose my lap time. Turn number 10, I also do the exact same. So for me as a commentator, this track is horrible to drive, but for the driver, it's a beautiful 10-corner circuit. I believe this is by far got the shortest corners on any calendar, and I would say it's only got 9, because turn 2, I will say this till the day I die, is not a corner. That is never, ever going to be a corner.
Right there with you. Turn 2 is as far as I'm concerned, is Remus. I will fight anybody that argues otherwise. That is, turn 2, or what is commonly called turn 2, is not a blooming turn.
No.
It's a slight deviation of straight.
Otherwise, wouldn't that mean every track's about 100 corners if that little bit's
Exactly.
left?
Why is the stretch between Remus and Schlossgold not a turn then? Because that's probably more bent than the straight between Niki Lauda and Remus. This debate will never go anywhere. We know this. But yeah, it doesn't deviate from the fact that this, despite the fact that there's only 9-ish turns, it's actually really quite challenging to get right on a consistent basis. Yeah, the problems you described, Richie, are exactly what I have. Easy to wander too wide at turn 1.
Yeah.
Very easy to lock up and spin at turn 2. No, well, Remus. Let's stick with the good names. No one argues those generally. Schlossgold. I've been into that gravel trap far too many times to count. Rauschenwerth, which is that you're coming back down the hill. Really easy to get wrong, and you lose a lot of lap time there. Despite the fact the laps are really short, if you're going to lose any time, it's more than likely going to be there. Rindt, you've got a lot of runoff there, so that's not too bad. And then the final turn, Red Bull Mobile, is, again, you've got a lot of space to play with. But that's hoping you got the rest of the lap right, because the lap is so short. Any tiny mistake, we could see the grid separated by 3 or 4 tenths.
It's one of the closest tracks on the calendar, I think, when it comes to qualifying. It's like Brazil. You know, you can have a top 10 being separated by a tenth of a second, which I think is going to create a really interesting race. So we're just going to have a quick look at the standings before we get into the lobby, as it will load quite shortly. So Tomasz Gál is the championship leader, leading by 12 points to Max Wiesel. Obviously, Tomasz took double victories in round 3 after that controversial ending with his teammate Leonard Pinta, and then a P1 to P1 in Las Vegas, puts in 12 points clear ahead of Max Wiesel in second, who is also one of the only 3 drivers drivers, along with Louis Welch and Tamas, who have taken a victory this season. Then Daniel Kjellson sits in third on 23. Jost Ullrich, a point back, had a DNF back in Las Vegas. Togo Hardy also had a DNF back in Las Vegas. He sits in fifth ahead of Louis Welch. King Gondorp, Theo McKee, Simon Komsky, and Yannick Schmidt in the top 10. And then we have Olympia Pinto, Jerry Van Bussel, Jan Halliday, Joseph Floke, Bradley Holdham, Liam Stevens, Sergio Sereno, Legend Rosenberg, Daniel Kerr, and Declan Barrett in the top 20. And then at the constructors' standings, it's 4 points between first and second, being obviously Red Bull and Alpine. Then we can see McLaren and AlphaTauri not too far back off of that. And now we are heading in towards the session, so perfect time to end that sequence. And a bit of a fun fact about this circuit. This is the 7th time we've been here in PSGL. The only time we haven't been here in PSGL F2 was back in season 32. So 28, 29, 30, 31, 33, 34, and now season 35, we have been to this circuit. And bit of information about last season's race here. It was a wet-ridden race, which saw Joseph Floke take the victory ahead of Rishan Jacobs, who took one of his only points finishes in that race, which was second, and Mirko Soriano, who went to be the runner-up in the championship. Then in season 33, Drake Dempsey, and we are loading into a race. What?
Random grid. Come on, then.
Oh, short quali, we're loading into a race. Right. Will that happen in the background? And obviously, season 33, Drake Dempsey, our F2 champion, took victory ahead of Jan Halliday and Daniel Kaya. All of those 6 drivers, apart from Mirko Soriano, are here tonight. But yes, I think we've had a bit of a miscalculation with the lobby, because for some reason, they are starting the qualifying on the grid. From what I knew, we wasn't doing one-shot qualifying, and from what I knew as well, we wasn't doing a no qualifying race with a random grid. But here we are. Thank you, Joseph Floke.
I'd have that. I'd give that a go. Yeah, the drivers are leaving the session, I think, or they're retiring from the session. So, yeah, I don't know what's going on at this particular point. I'm just going to sit here and see what happens.
Yes, I'm going to try and figure out if we're leaving or we're just retiring. I'm not quite sure. And luckily, it hasn't placed me in a car, because there's been times before. I think it was at Belgium back in season 31 in F4. I got placed into a car.
I remember you mentioning that. Actually.
Yes, it was.
We
I think we
talk about
we did, yeah.
Commentator maladies. I've had similar where I was put in a car and I'm not in F1. This was in AC, and I forgot to retire it, and it turned.
Yes,
and the leader hit it. So yeah, I was not a popular person that day.
Well,
yeah, we did it. We did actually go into a 36-lap race, which a couple of drivers have actually started. There's still 5 drivers in it.
And well, for the first time this season, Drake Dempsey takes the lead ahead of Liam Stevens, Sergio Rosenberg, Jerry Van Boss, and Max Wiesler's retired, and Drake Dempsey's hit a wall. He's also retired from the session. There we are. The race has ended pretty much instantly. What a start to the season 35 F2 Austrian Grand Prix. And unfortunately,
thanks for joining us. That was a great race. It was over really quickly.
Yes, we'll be back next week. Goodbye. No, I forgot to put it on the game screen. We could have looked at that carnage. Reminds me a little bit of was it 1998 Belgium, or was it 2000? I can't remember what the date was.
You were right first time. I'm pretty sure it was 98. Well, when half the field took themselves out, yes, that would be an exceedingly rain-soaked Spa in 98.
Yes. And...
Oh, this is wonderful. Now, admittedly, we did have a bit of a hurried lobby host change for this evening. That's why it would not quite gone off to as good a start as we would like here in PSGL. But we will have a race here, ladies and gentlemen. That looked really, really cloudy. So I wonder what weather we're going to be embraced with. You dared to mention the wet stuff.
Well, the rain is quite possible around this circuit. I know I was speaking with Rishan earlier, and he said that, I think it was last season, that every single tier had a wet race / wet qualifying. And look at the race we just got loaded into. It was looking like it was overcast, possibly going to wet. So I don't know what we'll expect. I don't have a clue. And hopefully, and a bit of a disclaimer to obviously if there's any engineers in the chat. I ask this every single time because the EA are useless when it comes to this. If any engineer in the chat is willing to share me the weather details, that would be more than appreciated, because us here in the spectator man, you don't get to see anything when it comes to the weather, so we've got to guess. So if anyone knows if it's going to rain, if it's going to stay dry, pop a message into the chat or pop a message into DMs if you want, so I can keep yourself a bit disclosed from leaking information. And then we have a bit of an idea of what we expect in the race, because if we see everyone started on softs, normally I would expect it to be wet, because this is a track you barely start on softs. Liam, well, no words is to Liam. Of all the times I've helped you, and you won't even give me the weather, and even though I know you're engineering, the GOAT Jan Halliday. You can't even bother to send me the weather. Well, we know where we stand then, don't we?
Yeah, we know who our friends are. Oh, that was novel, wasn't it? Well, technical issues happen. Let's not be too downtrodden. Technical issues happen throughout the stratosphere. No matter how good you are, how well prepared you are, issues do occur. And we are facing some issues here in F2. We will get through them, and we will get this race underway. We promise you, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, and we've got 50 drivers in the lobby. You should be able to join through me now, Chris. So we've got
Thank
15
you.
in. Joseph Loke, let's hope this time he gets the settings correctly, because I believe there was also no damage turned on, because I saw Drake Dempsey hit a wall at 200 miles an hour. And I was like, right, why are the four wheels still intact and why is the front wing still intact? If that is what Aston Martin can build, then God help us when we start in 2024, because that would be one machine of a vehicle.
It would be a very, very memorable race, let's be honest. Can you imagine Monaco with a car that can plough through everything?
We'd have 57-second lap times. It'd be wall riding. It'd be like skateboards instead of F1 cars.
Wow, that would.
Fernando,
just don't let go of the gas, basically. Just hang on for dear life and open your eyes when the checkered flag falls.
Well, Liam said Fernando versus Lewis would be peak. that would be something.
Well, it definitely would be something. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. It would certainly be. It would be public lobby chaos. Let's be quite frank about that.
Yes, it definitely would be, and hopefully we can get started with this. Probably going to be chaotic qualifying and race. We've got 18 drivers in. The Discord is popping off in the F2 general. Everyone's going on. They're all laughing about something. People are being told to grow up. And then Drake hits Josie back with the "I'm not 18."
Which is true, he's not.
So yeah, everyone's waiting, and Joseph's saying don't ready up as everyone is readying up. So it's all over the place. But who doesn't love a chaotic start to F2?
Well, whether you like it or not, that's what we got. So,
Precisely.
There's a reason why the drivers are not being told not to ready up, because not everybody is in. Now, I believe everybody is in, but only at that particular moment. The timer was actually starting. I think you can still join mid-quali session, I think. But,
yes. So the funny thing is, normally we would be saying, right, we've got 1 minute till the end of qualifying, because it's an 18-minute session. Now we are saying it's going to be 1 minute till we start qualifying. So sorry about the prolonged start. We've had to waffle on for nearly 20 minutes this evening. And Chris said to me earlier on, if we're not in the lobby, why not start? I thought, oh, well, we should start soon. I'll leave it on. Well, I did take the risk of starting early, and look where we are now. 20 minutes in, and we still have not even begun qualifying, because the lobby was either set up wrong or EA made a mistake, and we started straight into the race. And in my eyes, we should have gone with a mixed grid. Why not? Have a bit of fun. It's Austria.
I think we should do. I think we should suggest that as rather than like a one-off race in the middle of the season, where there's no qualifying. There's this random grid. Just don't necessarily need to do it too many times. Just one race in the middle of the season. Completely random grid. I can't imagine that hasn't been suggested. It would be. I would love for that to be considered.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it would be. It would be quite cool. I don't think it'll ever happen, but it would be nice if it did. And guess what? The sailor dude in the chat says, when this starting now? Correct, we are starting literally now. You can see on the screen the short qualifying is about to begin. And we've got three left to load in, which is Daniel and Tamash, and Daniel now being the final one to get themselves in. And then we can start the 18 minutes of qualifying for the Austrian Grand Prix. Bit of a reminder to everyone, if you don't already know, obviously the format here tonight is an 18-minute qualifying session, followed by I think it's about 36 laps of a 50% race. That is it. Very simple format to follow. And I believe we are now. And it's full wet. Oh, isn't this going to be interesting?
Oh
my. Now this is interesting. I'm excited now. I wasn't before, but now I am. Full wet conditions in qualifying. I remember the last time I had full wet conditions in qualifying. That was back in F4, and that was in season 30 where Harvey Cohen took victory. I don't remember why I know that far back, but it was the opening round, I believe, of the season. Harvey Cohen took victory in the It was soaked. It was borderline thunderstorm conditions at that point, and yes, the rain is coming down quite profusely at this point, and I don't know who'll be first out, but I think we'll see everyone out for the whole session.
Well, no one's moved yet. Everyone's just like, nah, don't fancy this.
But got a few people.
Someone is. Well, I can see one. Oh no, there is somebody that has come out. It is one of the Alpha Tauris, I
Jerry
believe.
Van Bussel, who on my screen is called Gerino, which is far from his name.
He's called Gerino on my screen as well.
Jerry Van Bussel, just to clear up for anyone, in his first lap track. And have you noticed as well, Chris, a few people have selected intermediate tyres?
That's brave. If you're coming out in this on Inters, you're mental. I cannot. Well, you say that they're thinking about ATBs. No one's. Well, there are a few cars that have come out, but I think they're all on wets. So let's see who else is actually out on track at the moment. 2 more cars leaving the way. No, it's Joseph Loke and Jan Halliday have come out on intermediate tyres. That looks insane from the amount of rain that's falling. Look at the rooster tails coming off the cars. That's that's something. They're coming out on intermediates. That looks bonkers to me. But then that's the thing. It could be very different for the drivers. They know what the cars feel like at this particular point. They're either thinking this was a horrendous mistake or this could be kind of all or nothing at the moment, because if that rain's not going to ease up, this is as good as the track's going to get.
Yes.
But if that's the case, why hasn't the entire field come out?
Well, Richard's gone on to wets, along with Jeremy Van Bussel, but everyone else is on intermediate tyres. Thank God no mediums, though.
That would be a bit... well, that would be brief, I suspect.
So no, they're all on intermediate tyres apart from Jerry and Rishan, who are on track right now. So we'll go on board with Jerry, who is going to be the first one to begin a lap time. Whether he'll be the first to finish a lap time, we will find out. So he's just heading down in towards turns 9 and 10, which theoretically, in my eyes, should be turns 8 and 9. But yet again, we'll keep that one done under the bus for now, because I know we'll have a lot of angry people in the chat who disagree with us. Probably a lot of angry Austrians who will disagree. And I believe, unfortunately, we don't have any Austrians on the grid, so we can't see anyone take a home victory like we did in round 3 with Tamash.
True enough. But we are in for an interesting night nonetheless. So, who is going to be... Was it? It was Gerino, wasn't it? There was first out there. So he's going to go on the west... Oh, and he's already sliding hard through Remus. Couldn't get the rear to behave itself, which in these conditions is not a surprise, full wets or not. But he's going to meet one of the McLarens coming down into Schlossgold. Sploshgold, more like it. So he just feathers the throttle as much as he dares, coming out of Schlossgold down towards Rausch, I think it's actually pronounced. Doesn't get close to the apex on that occasion, but still braves the rumble strip on the outside line. Now through Wirth. It's a tight left-right-hander, and the McLaren jumps out of the way. Nicely done. I beg your pardon, that was a Haas. The McLaren had already jumped out of I didn't even see the McLaren. So down through the last few turns, Rindt and Red Bull Mobile. What's the opening time on the full wets from Gerino? It is a 1:12.936. So quite a few, actually more than half the field coming out on Inters. So this is going to be interesting. Jan Halliday on intermediate tyres, half a second behind.
Yes, as now Joseph Luck goes quickest with a 0.609, 3/10 clear of Jerry Van Bussel. And we've got Rishan Jacobs as well coming through into the final couple of corners. We'll see what he can set on his set of wet tyres. That's Drake Dempsey going into second place with a 12.723. What can Rishan Jacobs do on the wet tyres? Can he go quickest? No, he can't. He does go third. So it seems at the moment the wets and the Inters are very close. But I think the Inters are probably just a little bit quicker. We've got a few people still out on laps. We've got Joost Noordijk heading down in towards turns number 4. Liam Stevens popped himself into fourth, just 3 thousandths back from his teammates. I'm trying to find who will be next to cross the line. I think it will be Joost Noordijk, who's let off of his lap, so he won't complete that lap time. We've got Daniel Kjelsen coming through in towards turns 5 and in towards turns 6 and 7. We'll see what he can set in the McLaren. But so far on the 6 laps being set, many people saw an out laps, but I presume there might be some drivers, Chris, who might take a bit more fuel, so they could be a little bit slower at the start of their runs.
Wouldn't be surprised, to make the car a bit heavier, but also just to plan on the fact that your first laps are going to be pretty damn terrifying, but not representative of overall pace. So it's not a surprise really that we're seeing, or we're likely to see quite a few people do quite a few laps on the whatever set of tyres they are on. So 12.498 then from Kjelsen in the McLaren. So it could well be that the rain is heavier in the pit lane than it is elsewhere on track, because when we're looking at the pit lane, it looks absolutely monsoon. But further around the track, not as bad. So I'm looking at the Tier 10 Grandpa. That still makes me laugh, Max Wiesel. So he's just coming up the hill actually towards Remus. It doesn't look as bad. It still looks pretty miserable, but it doesn't look as bad as it is at the bottom of the hill in the pit lane. So the Inters, despite our earlier thoughts, do seem to be the way to go at the moment.
Indeed, yeah. Obviously, sometimes the game can misinterpret what tyres are best. And obviously, the game thought it was the wets. Obviously, the drivers know it was the intermediates. It seems clear that it was the intermediates, as we only had 2 people set times on the wets, and that was Rishon and Jerry, who couldn't see in 6th and 8th, as Paul Eckelmeyer puts himself into 4th position there, just ahead of Drake Dempsey, but still that lap time from Daniel Kjellson, about a 10th, nearly a 10th clear of Max Wiesel in 2nd, who's half 10th clear of Joseph Loke in 3rd. We've got Bradley Holden coming through as Daniel goes even quicker by 0.4 of a second to 12.0 for the McLaren. Then we have Daniel Kaya into 2nd, Jos Noordijk into 3rd. What about Bradley Holden? Can he put himself in towards the top 3? No, he goes 7th fastest, but the improvements are coming through. Drake Dempsey up by 0.5 on his middle sector. What can he do as he heads to line? He will go into pole with a 12.014 for the Aston Martin. We've got Tomasz Gala, championship leader, coming through into the final course. Can he set a lap time good enough for pole position as he flies through out of turn 10 up to line? What will it be for the Alpine? It will be provisional 5th position. Then we've got the 2. Alfa Romeo, Sergio Sereno goes into 7th. What about Simon Lekomsky? He's invalidated yet again on his lap time, so he won't set one. King Godup, he's coming through towards turns 6 and 7. But yeah, you can see the track's getting better and better as the laps are coming through. I think we could see some surprising results, Chris, at the end of qualifying.
Oh, that I think is a guarantee. You introduce this much wet weather qualifying or race, and it is going to shake the field up. So Drake Dempsey in the Aston Martin after 3 laps, exactly as we were just been talking about. That the track getting, well, can't say drier really, but I'm riding on board with Sergio Sobrino in the Alfa Romeo, and the rain does look a lot lighter at that particular point, coming through Schlossgold down towards Roush, than it does at the bottom of the hill in the pit lane. If I look at Jan Halliday, Legend Rosenberg, I dare say the rain doesn't look as bad. So Jan Halliday, speaking of the 2nd Aston Martin, he's just jumped up into pole. So yeah, the rain does seem to be getting lighter. I wonder if this was why we didn't see everybody just flat out the pit lane immediately. If they knew the rain was going to lessen as the session went on, why come out early? If the track's just going to keep getting better, you may as well wait a little bit. But now we hopefully should see a constant run of laps as over the line. Liam Stevens in the Mercedes, 11.834 for him. I'm keeping an eye on Simon Lukomsky as well in the McLaren. He's currently 7th with 1:12.256. He's coming up to Remus himself. So we've got a lot of laps that's just going to get better and better and better. Tycho Hardy, though, has just gone on to the. I thought he was on full wet for a second, but that could have been my eyesight playing tricks on me. Oh no, I think the tower is giving me. Yeah, sorry, I was selected on what their best lap was, not what their current tyre was. So I still have people on the full wet on my tower. Never mind, everybody has switched over to the Intias, which, with the rain getting lighter, I'd say that is absolutely spot on.
Indeed, we've got a few drivers still out on circuit. Drake Dempsey now takes that provisional pole position and back 0.3 quicker than the likes of Tycho Harding. You can see the track is getting better and better as the session goes on. Drake and Lee, we haven't seen them really fight for much this season. It shows how much the track is getting better, but it is there currently now up in the top 3. Paul Eckelmeyer as well is in the 5th position. He's just 0.2 back from Jos Noordijk as Jerry Van Bussel goes on to pole position with a 11.236. Richard Jacobs heading down in towards turn number 4. We'll see what he could do on his lap. Pinter, who was 2nd earlier on, he's now down to 7th position. That shows how much quicker that the track is getting. We saw obviously early on a 12.1, which is the quickest lap time. It's 11.2, which is the quickest lap time from Lenny Pinter, 0.002, separating him and Jerry Van Bussel at the top of the grid. I'm still on board with the Mercedes of Richard Jacobs. We want to see what he can do on his lap time, see if he can put himself ahead of his teammate, who's currently sitting in the top 5, that being Liam Stevens, as Richard comes through to turn 9, then in towards turn 10, and surprisingly, I've not seen many invalidations at this final corner. Bit of a slide through the corner. Richard up to the line. What will it be for him? Will it be pole position? No, it will be P4, matching the time of Drake Dempsey with a 3:11.
Yeah, that's not even a tenth behind Lenny Papinta at the top of the field in the race clutch advertised Alpine. So, yeah, we're still seeing very close times. I'm not too surprised that we're not seeing too many invalidations because, the wet weather does tend to make people behave themselves a little bit more. We always see it, don't we, in in the qualifying sessions where everyone is pushing to use every single pixel of space they can, especially on shorter tracks. Tracks like Spa that have got a bit more real estate. Those tiny few thousandths of a second aren't quite as crucial. When the lap time is much shorter, you need any advantage you can get. So people are just pushing and pushing and pushing. And like we said, the whole grid separated by 3 or 4 tenths at a track like Austria is not that uncommon. In the wet, slightly less common because not everybody is as proficient when the track is slippery than it is when it is absolutely bone dry, when they've practiced. Most people won't practice in the wet, so this will bring out those that can drive a bit more reactionary, a bit more on the seat of the pants, more than by just pure muscle memory. So that's another reason why I enjoy seeing wet weather driving. Driving in it, no chance. I'm hopeless. So, again, this is why I go for the commentary box. It's much safer for all concerned. I'm keeping an eye on the Ferrari of Bradley Holdham at the moment. He is just coming through Schlossgold, coming downhill towards Roush. He has got, I think it's one of the Alphas that's a little bit ahead of him. Doesn't quite make friends with the Apex, but again, the pole time, 4 tenths of a second to Daniel Kilson. Never mind, before I even finish the sentence, there's Girino with a 10.635. That's 3 laps on those tyres as well for the AlphaTauri. I'm still running on board with Bradley Holdham. What can he do? 19th with a 12.7 at this point in time. But the track has improved a bit. He found nearly 2 seconds on that lap to put him in second on a 10.761.
Yeah, and then the times are just coming down, and Daniel Halday's up by 2.5 tenths in the first sector. He's coming down in towards turn 7. We'll see, can he find an improvement in the middle sector? Yes, he's up by nearly 7 tenths of a second, so currently looking to put himself around that P7 area. And now that pole position is a 10.6. It's come down by what? Nearly 2.5 seconds since the session started. We've got 5 minutes left to go. The track is ramping up even more and more. We can see Joseph Loken now in 4th position as well ahead of Tamás Gal. What can Jan Halday do? Can he put himself back to the front as he heads up towards the line? It will be P7 for the Aston Martin. Still trying to find who next to cross the line. I think it might be Daniel Kyer. He was up by a second on his previous lap, Tom. We'll see what he can do as he heads the line. It will be Max Fiesel who takes the quickest lap. Then Daniel Kyer takes the quickest lap with a 10.459, and constantly the fastest laps are coming down and down and down. Szymon Lokowski's up by a second in the middle sector. We'll see what he can do as he heads in towards turns 9 and 10. He's going to head back into the pits, unfortunately for him, but I think some drivers want to get back in the pits, get a new set of tyres on and go for it again. We will have a restart at the end because Parc Fermé's turned on by accident. I mean, you can use all your inter tyres if you want, so we will see drivers peel into the pits now to get a new set of tyres and then push for the final 4 minutes of qualifying.
Yep, absolutely frantic. I always call the last 3 minutes of qualifying the Banzai phase. Well, in conditions like this, you could argue the entire qualifying session is Banzai phase because for every lap that's completed by any car, the track gets that little bit drier, a little bit more optimal because the rain is not falling so hard that it's making these laps redundant. You just want to be plowing through the laps. But ultimately, what every driver wants is to be that last man over the line because that's when the track is going to be the very best it can possibly be. Of course, not everybody can achieve that, but that's why you're just going to see people do 3, 4, even 5 laps on a single set of tyres in this particular session. Out comes Richard Jacobs and Joost Noordijk. Legend Rosenberg has already kind of backed out of his lap, so he won't be sending a new one on this time around. Drake Dempsey, he's starting his first time lap on this particular set. So there's much more to come as we are entering what I always call the Banzai phase. Final 3 minutes of qualifying. It's still open to anyone.
Yes, and Drake Dempsey is the only one on track that is on a lap now. Richard Jacobs has just started lap as we speak, as on board with Drake Dempsey heading down towards turn number 4. Got a Haas in front of him. Hopefully they can move out the way quickly as they do, and you can see Drake there getting a bit heavy on the curb as he exited turn 4. Coming through now in towards the left-hander at turn 6. Just want to throw the car in these wet conditions. You've got nothing to lose at this point in the session, so just throw it all at it. See what you can get out of the car. He's up by 7.5 tenths of a second. That's currently giving him that second sector purple. As you now head heads down in towards the final couple of corners. We'll see if he can find much of an improvement. Still remember, he's on a 1:11.3. The pole time is nearly a second quicker, being a 10.459. Through the final corner up to line, what can Drake Dempsey do? Can he take that provisional pole away from Daniel Kerr? Yes, he will, a 10.1. The track getting even quicker. Rishan Jacobs up by 79 thousandths in the first sector. We'll see what he's up by in the second sector as he comes through, unless he lets off on his lap. So on board with the Mercedes, and yes, I think Rishan has let off. We got Jos Nordijk currently sitting in 18th. He's just started his lap time, currently on a 1:11.850. We'll see what he can achieve in the Haas as he heads up towards turn 3. But at this point, Chris, I can't call for anyone for pole, but in the chat, make sure you let us know who you think will get pole position. I think now it's based off gut instinct more than natural pace, because everyone, I think pretty much half the grid has took pole at this point, at one point this session.
Yeah, but it definitely has been past the pole as opposed to past the parcel. So only 2 cars in the pit lane. No, never mind. They have decided now's the time to come out. Very little time left on the clock. And yeah, this pole time is absolutely anybody. You could basically just pluck a name out of a hat at this point. It's a lot of it is going to be down to being in the right place at the right time. Daniel Kielsen has been the one to cause the five plate penalty. Fairly academic, because we were going to reset this lobby anyway, because we clearly needed more delays in tonight's broadcast. Hey ho, that is the way it goes. But 20 cars all vying for position. We know what that 5 plate penalty is like. We know how sensitive the game can get. So it's almost inevitable that it is going to happen. But who is going to be the one to get the pole? Few chance for Jan Halliday, I see in chat. Why not? Perfectly capable. He's been on the pole already in part of the session. He is currently in 10th and just coming through Roush in the Aston Martin. Oh, there's another one. Gerino not wanting to be left out of the 5 plate grid penalty. Who's it going to be? Make it known, chat. Who are you here to support?
So we've got a few drivers now starting at laps. Paul Eckelmeyer, he's heading down in towards turn number 3, currently up by a 10.5 in that first sector. Liam Stevens up into second position there, just behind the back of Drake Dempsey, a 10th down on that lap. So Drake's lap was very good, considering he set that before Liam started his lap. So we're on board with Paul Eckelmeyer heading down towards turn number 4. We'll see what he can do in this middle sector as he comes through. Down the hill, back on the power as he exits, through towards turn 5, a bit of a kink to the right. Then he'll come back for a double left-hander at turn 6 and 7. Then he'll come back to the right for turns 8. So he just heads through, feathering the throttle as Reis Imtiaz goes 4th. Lenny Pepinta takes that pole with a 109.903. Sergio Sobrino goes on to provisional pole with a 109.868. Still on board with the Red Bull as we need to try and find who else is on lap times. Tamas Gal only manages 3rd position with a 110.0. Through into the final corner for the Red Bull of Paul Eckelmeyer. Can he try and take pole position away from the Alfa Romeo up to line? No, he can't. He will go on the 7th fastest. Then we've got Jos Nordijk as well coming through. Drake Dempsey takes that pole position away with a 109.737. Jos Nordijk goes 4th fastest. We've still got a few drivers coming through. Liam Stevens up by a couple of tenths in that middle sector. We'll see if he can improve to put himself onto pole. Jerry Van Bossel goes quickest with a 0.5. Daniel Kerr goes into 2nd. Liam Stevens only manages 7th position in this qualifying. Sergio, I believe, can settle the lap, but he's let off. Who's next to come through? I think we've got one of the Aston Martins, which is going to be Jan Halliday coming through the final corner, as that was Tiger Hardy going into 8th position. Bradley Holdham into 7th position in qualifying. Keane Gold up into 6th. And we saw Daniel Kielsen go into 5th and Simon Lekomsky into 3rd. Max Fiesel 5th. What about Jan Halliday? Can he take pole? No, he can't. He will go into the top 10. Lenny Pepinta, can he improve to take pole? Yes, he can. A 5.48 for Lenny Pepinta. As we can see as well, that was also more drivers making improves. Joseph Floke goes 3rd fastest. No improvement from Legend Rosenberg. And Sergio Sobrino heads back into the pits. But what an ending to qualifying. Lenny Pepinta on pole ahead of Jerry Van Bossel.
Wow, that was absolutely rapid fire, exactly as we thought it would be. But it is the race clutch Alpine of Lenny Pepinta taking the top spot by a colossal 16 thousandths of a second in the red.
It's something. it was close.
Unreal.
But
absolutely unreal.
Chris, the main thing to mention is looking 18th. That's our championship leader, Tamas Gal. Max Fiesel's only 12 points back. He's in 7th.
Yeah, but Tamas Gal's only half a second off a pole.
Yes.
So that's how close the field was. Bit of a gap between Tamas and Paul Eckelmeyer. I think it's fair to say Legend Rosenberg didn't get a representative lap in his time 11 flat. Not a reflection of his pace. But wow. It's a shame we have to go through the lobby rebuilding process, but I think we're kind of used to this. If nothing else, the 5-place penalty is kind of sealed it over. Lenny Babinta shares the front row with Gerino. Then on row 2, Joseph Lake and Daniel Koya. Simon Nikomsky and Drake Dempsey on row 3, with Max Wiesel and Daniel Kielson on row 4. King Garendorp and Arishan Jacobs, row 5. Sergio Sabrino and Bradley Holdham on row 6. Jan Halliday and Reyes Imtiaz on row 7. Taiku Hardy and Joost Noordijk, veterans of the East Wales World, on row 8, with Tamas Gal and Liam Stevens, row 9, with Paul Esmeyer and Legend Boasberg bringing up the rear of the field. Very heavily shuffled grid, which is going to lead to a very interesting race.
Indeed, and we will have a restart before we head back for the race, so we'll have a quick word from our sponsors over at GT Omega. And we are back, everyone. There we are. Thanks to, obviously, GT Omega being our sponsors for this season of PSGL. You can get yourself a 5% discount code if you use code PSGL at the checkouts if you buy any of the GT Omega products. And I'm going to say, out of all the, I think, 11 years of gaming and sitting in a chair for a long time, GT Omega chairs are probably the best ones I've had. Hands down. I'm not saying that for PR. Genuinely, they are probably the best chairs I've ever used. So if you want maybe a bit of a, and also Chris as well, if you'd also like a bit of a, Christmas present for family or yourself, make sure to use that code when you go to the checkout. But Chris, do you like the GT Omega chairs? Because I believe you got an older one, haven't you?
I got mine last year, I think it was, and I love it. It's so good. I would not part company with it at all. Got one for my eldest. My youngest doesn't sit still long enough to need one. So, but they're brilliant. I absolutely love them. Yes, of course, we do have the sponsorship affiliation with it, but they are genuinely really, really good. Because I am, shall we say, of a larger build, I do tend to suffer from numb buttocks from less than ideal chairs. Never once in this thing. Love it.
Yep, they're really good chairs. Make sure, again, if you would like to buy one, use that code PSGL at the checkout. So, we've got nearly everyone in the session now. It's going to wait for about another 5-6 drivers to get in, and then we can get our way heading under for the race. And I forgot to save the qualifying results, so I don't know what they are. All I remember was that it was pole position for Lenny Pinto and Jerry Van Bussel starting on the front row. Looking back at the standings on my sheet I've got in front of me, Jerry Van Bussel is currently sitting 12th in the standings on 11 points. If he takes second today, he will take 12 points home, meaning he will jump himself potentially up to third. Obviously, I don't think that's likely because obviously all the people ahead will probably score points. But still, he can jump up into potentially third position. That shows how close this championship is. Yes, we're only on round 5, just halfway through. But it is so close between the top. And actually, talking about being halfway through the season, we'll have a little look at the calendar. So, obviously, we're here today for the Austrian Grand Prix. We're back next week for Monza. Bit of a controversial one with the curbs, but that I think will pose an interesting race. And we got Singapore for round 7. Last time we was racing here, I believe it was in the wet. So that is also going to be a very interesting race. And then we have our winter break for Christmas and the New Year. Then we'll be back on January I think it's January the 4th, or it's between January 4th and 8th for the Spanish Grand Prix at Round 8. We didn't race there last season after a bit of an issue with the bump at the final corner. I think that has been resolved now, but I'm not entirely sure. Round 9, we're at Miami. Not too excited for it personally, but I know a lot of drivers probably will be. Then we got Great Britain for round 10, and then obviously we end it off in Bahrain for the final round, which I think Bahrain, as I said, I think we mentioned last week, wasn't it, Chris? Bahrain has got to be, in my eyes, one of the best ways to end a season, because Bahrain, it just delivers every single time. It might not be the most aesthetically pleasing track, but qualifying in the race is always really interesting there, especially with strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is really, really very, very challenging track to drive. But yeah, it's a brilliant circuit. I've made no secret of my my love of Silverstone. I always enjoy Northamptonshire's finest. So whether it's from a spectator's or a driving standpoint, I absolutely adore it. But yeah, what a great series that we've got lined up for the second half of PSGL F2.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see how the calendar goes this season, and also how this race will go, because I think we've got a very I think it'll be interesting because we see drivers in positions they're not normally in. So I think, we could see a bit of an interesting race depending on people's pace, and if their pace in the wet matches their pace in the dry, because we have got a dry start. Whether it goes wet towards the end, I don't know, but I believe it is obviously a dry start, as we've got the sun symbol on the left-hand side of the screen. And if anyone does know if it will go wet in the race, please let me know, whether it's in DMs in Discord or if it's in the chat, because it really does help us when we can know what weather to expect. We're just going to wait for one more driver to get in to the lobby, which will be one of the Alfa Romeos, being Keen Goendup. So once he gets in, we can get the grid sorted out, and then we can head our way in towards the 36 laps of the Austrian Grand Prix, which I think, if it stays dry the whole way through, strategy is interesting, because obviously you normally got the medium hard, the hard medium. I don't think that the soft is really much of a chosen tyre in this track. I think the soft can get eaten up quite easily, so I don't think we'll see the soft too much. So I think it will be mainly between the medium hard and the hard medium strategy, but we never know. I'm not an engineer, I'm not a strategist, so we'll see what happens. Any ideas of what tyres you expect we'll see, Chris?
Black ones. Round ones.
It works.
Yeah, not a clue. Numerous times I've been proven wrong when it comes to tyre call strategies. So I generally have no idea. We've seen the soft tyre come out in areas we really, really shouldn't do. Yeah. But these drivers know what they've practiced with. They know what they're capable of. But again, another aspect of that is going to influence the strategy is where they are on the grid. Now, of course, by this point in the season, you tend to have an idea of pecking order, but of course, the whole grid is really, really shuffled compared to the championship standings. So people could well choose to take the soft tyre just to try and propel them up through the grid, or to break away from the grid. Some people may choose to just take that early stint conservatively and go for the harder tyres. Not a clue. Not even going to hazard a guess. I'm going to sit on the fence and stay there.
Yeah, so I would make a prediction, but I'm not going to, because I feel like I'm going to be terribly wrong, and I don't want to be hated more than I am. But yes, so we've got everyone in the lobby, so we should get started very, very shortly for the start of the Austrian Grand Prix. As I said, it is going to be a dry race, of course, at least at the start. Whether it goes at the end, I do not know, and I think it will be dry the way through, because Jan Halliday told me it was going to be clear, so that means dry all the way through, which is interesting. At least we had a wet qualifying, we've got a dry race. So yeah, we've had a mixture of all weathers today. Obviously, we had a wet. It was wet at the start. It then went to inters, and now it's going to go in dry.
In fairness, when we did take over to the race in the previous session, it was dry. So I suspect that is taken to what the weather we would have had had we have stuck with the same session. So which is the norm. But yeah, we're just waiting for the queue to go. Everybody is in. Now, it is not the work of a moment to build the qualifying session, build the grid manually in the game, especially if you've not done it before. I remember the first time I did it, it really does take a few moments to wrap your head around, especially if you're trying to do it in a hurry. And you can't realistically do it until all 20 drivers are in. So this is pretty much what we're waiting for, is the grid to be built and then everybody to ready up. So hopefully it won't take too long, because we're running out of things to waffle about.
Yeah, St. Joseph has said on the track that we can go, meaning the lobby's set up. Normally, we'd be departing the end of the race by now at 10 to
Yes.
9, but we are starting it, so it's another long 45 minutes to go, so we should end about 1:30 at this rate. We'll probably also get in some interviews, so it's going to be a very long end to the stream, so you've stuck with us for quite a long while. We've got 62 of you in the chat at the moment, so let's know finally, before we get started, who you think will take victory, or who you think could have a chance of taking victory in this race, because I think there's a lot of drivers having the chance to, because strategy and, strategy comes into play, I think, in this track more than anything. So I think we could see anyone take victory, depending on what they can do with an undercut or an overcut, because we know that the DRS is very OP. If you've got maybe a very low wing setup and you've got and you've also got an undercut, you'll pit out, you'll pit earlier, get yourself ahead. Yes, your tyres will die off before the end, but that DRS and high speed advantage will help you once you come towards the end of the race. So if you're also good at defending, you could be in a bit of a better position in that sense. If not, and you've got maybe a bit of a high wing, so you might want to go for a bit of an overcut because you'll get that advantage on the tyres on the exit the corners. So it's all down to see what the drivers will do. We'll notice who's got higher wings and who's got lower wings once we get started, which should be in about 5 seconds.
Yes, indeed. Also, luck of the draw. If you've gone for an aggressive strategy to begin with, so softer tyres, and you're caught up in an early race incident, you're forced onto a hard tyre very, very early. So that's the kind of natural sim racing, yes, but you mix that in with the already very mixed grid, and it is going to be an interesting night. Remus, which is turn 3/2, is your first very, very heavy braking point on lap 1. That's where I'm expecting to see most chaos. Let's see as we head to trackside. Mm-hmm. Come on.
Well, Chris, and it's going to be a very chaotic start, so I'm going to give you the reins for it so I can relax.
Thanks, mate. No, absolutely fine. I'm more than happy with that. So now, of course, we can't see what tyres everybody has gone on to until the race doth begin. This is the opportunity for drivers to make any adjustments to their setups, make sure they select the right one. All too many times we've seen drivers forget to switch over to the race setup. Usually it causes a few detonated engines. But this is the point of kind of most nerves. This is the bit I always used to hate. I used to hate the bit leading up to the green light. Once the racing had begun, you do kind of get into your flow a little bit. It was always this waiting I used to hate on the few times I've done sim racing, which is not many. Ironically, in all my time in the F1 games, I've never actually raced in it. I've driven maybe like 10 minutes. That's probably about it. I've never actually done a race in F1, in any of the F1 games I've commentated on. Go back to 16, 17, I think, when I first began. Never actually raced in any of them. So we're just waiting then for the last drivers, and it will just suddenly happen. We get no warning of when it is going to take place. Come on, get on with it. What do you like of the race start, Richie?
Well, it's
Never mind. We are down to the grid. The lights come on. We know this process. It is time to wind them up and to let them go. That looked like a pretty good start from Torino out the front of the field. What has everybody gone for? Mainly hards and a few mediums sprinkled in there. But Pepinta, great start. Not a good one for Bradley Holdham. He's lost a few spots, but everybody has survived turn 1 at least. But it is going to be up towards Remus where the biggest chaos, if chaos at all takes place, looks like everybody is just about making it through. No, well, someone's ghosted. Not quite sure who that is, but it does look like, other than a bad start for Tamas Gaut's championship leader, it's so far so good.
It is just someone's on board with Jan Harde. He's trying to work his way through the field on those medium tyres under pressure there from Daniel Kielce as they come through. And that's Max Feast also getting a position there ahead of Simon Lukomski as they head in towards turn 6 and 7. He's also very close to the back of Ray Imtiaz. Not Ray Imtiaz. Joseph Floke, who's in the Williams in P4 as they head through. And also a very good start from, I think, everyone in the top 4. Lenny, Jerry, Daniel and Joseph as they head down towards turns 9 and 10 to complete this first lap, which is a very short lap, and this first lap goes by so quickly. Jan Halliday looking for a move there on King, going up in towards turns 9, but was a little bit too far back. So back down towards turn 1 we go. Lenny Pepinta led that opening lap and still has that lead ahead of Jerry Van Bussel, but Daniel Kaya closing in very quickly to the back of his teammates as they head down in towards turn 3. Daniel Kaya hit the back of Tycho Hardy last time out in Las Vegas after his wheel disconnected. Let's hope he doesn't do the same again and end up taking out Jerry Van Bussel, who's also in S7R, which is the same team for the course, as that's Sergio Sabrina making a position ahead of Drake Dempsey in towards turn 3. Jan Halliday looking to get himself a position ahead of King Goendup, but he's under pressure from Daniel Kjelsen down towards turn 4. Lots of jockeying in position at the start, opening start. I think once we get to about 5 or 6 laps in, they will calm down, but for now you can see moves being made all over the grid, as you could see Jan Halliday having Daniel Kjelsen having a bit of a send up the inside of Jan, but had to back out to the last second.
Reyes Imtiaz is having a bit of a mare. He's just lost a couple of positions, now demoted to last. I'm hoping there's not desync there, because it looked like he was actually inside Tamash Gal's car. So I'm hoping we don't have that going on. Who else can we look at? So we've got, what have we got? 5 medium runners out of the field. A few people opting to try and use a softer to compound than the rest to improve on their position. Hasn't worked overly well. They have gained a few, in fairness. Sergio Sabrino up 4. Who else is a medium runner? Jan Halliday, he's gained 3. Liam Stevens is up 4. So Joost Noordijk up 1. Tamash Gal only back up to his starting position. So it's worked well for some, but not for others. My God, I've just seen Daniel Kjelsen barrel the inside of Remus, bounce off of King Goendup, and now the Alfa Romeo is going to take their position back again, followed by Jan Halliday in the Aston Martin.
And Liam Stevens takes 3 of them into turn 4. Liam Stevens, what a move in towards turn 4. We're standing 12th into 9th position. What a move there from the Mercedes, and that's also Kjelsen getting himself ahead of Halliday. And Jan Halliday's had such a poor start on the medium tyres, started in 10th, down to P12, as that's also Joost Noordijk having a bit of an argument with Bradley Holdham heading down towards turn 9. They're nearly going side by side. Vishen Jacobs looking for an opening on the back of the Ferrari, can't get a move through in towards there. Will have to keep himself right behind the back of the Ferrari for now as they head in towards turns number 10, beginning lap 4 of 36. Obviously, DRS was enabled last lap. We'll see. Do we have a position for the lead between Jerry Van Bussel and Lenny Papinter as they head out of turn 1, down towards turns number 2 and 3? Can we see a move for the lead? This will be the first time we'll see a move in the lead in this race for the first time as they head up towards the top of the hill. And will he pull to the inside? No, stays back, does Jerry Van Bussel. Joseph Loke also looked for a bit of a peek up the inside of Daniel Kerr, but thought it was better to stay back for now and not make that move up the inside. And surprisingly, there's been no moves down towards turn 3 with the DRS being enabled.
Joost Noordijk, Tycho Hardy locked together for a battle for 13th position. The medium shot Haas just starting to get his horses galloping a little bit, coming down towards Schloss Gold. Outbreaks the AlphaTauri, and that's Bradley Holdham. He's lost a couple of positions in the Ferrari, but still a lot of arguing going on. Just Liam Stevens nearly out of DRS range to those ahead of him. Joost Noordijk just barely hanging on to the DRS train as Vishen Jacobs has just lost 16th place to Legend Rosenberg, who started at the back of the field, so he's making steady progress. Reyes Imtiaz trying to avoid the wooden spoon as well, just jumping ahead of Paul Esselmeyer. But yeah, the ones at the front, though, all the hard starters are probably just kind of getting into the rhythms a bit. They know they've got a long way to go, settling into the rhythm. The medium starters know they've got to get on with it as quickly as they can to leapfrog the hard starters. Well, never mind, as I say that, as now Gerino has a look at the inside line of Lenny Papinter, and that's the lead to the AlphaTauri.
Yeah, but also Daniel Kerr's got a great run down towards turn 4. Can he try and make the move back ahead of the Alpines? They head in towards the braking zone to the inside. Can Daniel set a move? He will set a move to the inside line at turn 4. Will Lenny defend it? He will defend it. Great defence there from the Alpine. Keeps that position still ahead of Daniel Kerr. And Daniel had a great run, but just couldn't make it work on the exit. Lenny had a lot of grip to use to his advantage on those hard tyres and got himself back ahead of the Ferrari a little bit further back. Joseph Floke just kind of sat back and all that. He's probably hoping one of these ahead ends up taking each other out because he would love a cheeky couple of positions. Max Wiesel also doing a great job at the start of this race, currently trying to get himself ahead of Joseph Floke, who's currently sitting in 4th position as they head in towards the final corner. Down towards turn number 1, not much of a run for Max Wiesel to make a move, but then again, you don't really see moves being made into turn 1 at this track, do you? I think this is probably the place where you see the least overtaking moves. Other than
turn
that one.
Yeah, true enough. Yeah, turn 1, Nicky Lauda, not generally a favoured overtaking spot. The top 5, all with 90% plus in the battery. They're not pushing too hard at this point. They're just kind of using momentum and opportunity to jostle for position, as we see King Goendup. Oh, Liam Stevens down a couple of positions from that heroic move we just saw him do. So he's overcooked it, I think, going up towards Remus. Didn't see quite what happened, just see his name falling down through the field as Joseph Loke and Daniel Koya side by side on the exit of Schloss Gold. I thought that was going to be a fairly popular overtaking manoeuvre. Daniel Coy in the Ferrari not letting go of that one. He's going to have the inside line for one turn, which is Roush, and he's still got the inside line, but Joseph Lowe with the momentum wrestles that third position away from the Ferrari. Nicely done.
Beautiful move there from Joseph Frame, the outside turn. That's also what we saw Legend Rosenberg do to Liam Stevens, to Richard Jacobs. Sorry, as Liam Stevens dropped down to P50. I'm not sure what's happened to him. He's heading into the pit, so I think he's got a bit of damage on that Mercedes, and it was a great start. Triple moving to turn 4 ends in him going into the pits, and he'll drop down to 20th position. Big shame there for Liam. I don't know what's happened, unless that's maybe part of his strategy, but I definitely don't think that's the case. So Daniel Pipinta to the inside, takes the lead away from Jerry Van Busselin towards turn number 3. Daniel Coy, he will look back up the inside of Joseph Lowe, can't make the move there. That also gives a great exit, great opportunity to Max Feast on the exit of turn 3, heading down towards turn 4. Bit of battery being used by the Red Bull. Can he get himself to the inside line in towards the braking zone? Goes to the outside at the braking zone. Round the outside goes Max Feast. Can he make it stick? He goes a little bit wide. That's going to lose him time. That allows Sergio Sprint to try and catch up. Who's in the Alfa Romeo? Remember, he's on those 6-lap old mediums. So for now, we'll probably be a little bit quicker, but I'm sure his pace will start to drop as those mediums will definitely get slower at this point.
Liam Stevens had a new nose on the Mercedes, so it was not a pit-out choice. He's going to try and make those hards last all the way to the end. They won't be very happy by the time they get there, but it is possible to do with, what will that be, 23-ish laps on the hard tyres. But up front, yeah, that was a bit of a scary moment for a grandpa from Max Vettel. A full 4-wheel slide going through Schlossgold. Not the quickest way of dealing with this circuit, as now... Yeah, would see a general rhythm being formed. Different amounts of ERS has been used. Daniel Coyer hovering around 57% or so. It's up until that moment for, I think, Liam Stevens, he'd gone down to 22% of battery, which it's not easy to regenerate the battery power here because you don't have that many heavy braking zones. You've got a few, obviously. You've got Remus and Schlossgold being the heaviest, but because there's so much right foot in this track, you're on the gas for a very long time. It does make regaining that energy much more difficult. But for the moment, it is Pipinta from Torino from Loke.
Yes, and also a great start from Drake Dubs. He hasn't scored any points this season. I believe he's had a couple of finishes, but he was outside of the points. So he's looking for a P8, which will be his first points, which would be a great thing for him, and also a great motivator for the rest of this season. Obviously on round 5 of 11 in this season, so it's quite a shame to not see Drake Dempsey get any points before now, because remember, he won here in season 33. He was also the champion here in F2 in season 33. Went down to F2, won the champion to F3. Sorry, won the champion there in season 34, and he's now back here in F2 for season 35. And surprisingly, has had a bit of a poor start to the season, but he's doing a great job so far in this race. Daniel Kjels looking for a move on the back of Keane Gondorp in towards turn 3. Goes to the outside line, sends Keane defensive. Also, Keane had to go a little bit defensive there from the back of Drake Dempsey as they head through into the corner. And that gives a great exit from Jan Halliday as well, down towards turn number 4. But I don't think we'll see any moves at all. I don't think we'll see any moves anywhere in this race. Currently, the main, I think, perpetrator for how this race will end is down to the strategy. Because once we get to about that where we are now, lap 9, lap 10, it's very difficult to make a move no matter what tires you're on, because no one can get through anywhere. It's such a difficult track when it comes to that DRS train. The only ones who realistically can make a move is probably second and third.
Yeah, and that is down to the fact that there are not very many very big heavy braking zones. But that's not to say we won't see overtaking, just not necessarily as much as we would like in some other circles. But our drivers giving us a good show nonetheless. A few different lines being tried, although saying that, that was Joseph Loke not trying a position change on Torino just yet. But we are seeing, or certainly I'm seeing, a lot of drivers jumping out of the slipstream, making their presence known. Is Torino going to make a move on Pipinta coming up towards Remus? He's on the inside line into the braking zone. He has got that one done. And Joseph Loke at the traction in through wide on the exit of Remus. Can Joseph Loke get second and nothing else? Liam Stevens gets the fastest lap. He's on the freshest tyres, so that's not entirely a surprise. Joseph Loke side by side coming down into Schlossgold. We were saying there weren't going to be many overtaking positions, and Joseph Loke said, "Hold my beer, I'm having to go with this." And now Torino, 3 wide. Oh no! Impact between Loke and Pipinta coming into Roush. That's Pipinta down into 4th and Torino down to 6th.
Well, there we are. that was between Lenny, Jerry, and Joseph through there. It's not very often we don't see an F7 go for free wide moving towards a corner. Unfortunately, that ended badly for two drivers. Lenny Pinto will go into the pit, so I believe he might have got a bit of damage on that lap. Big shame for the pole sitter in this race. He's going to drop all the way down. It must have been damage as he's gone into the pits at this point. So it is Joseph Loku takes lead. Daniel Carr up to second. Him as well as Max Wiesel getting out the way. Luckily, shotting themselves up the inside at turn 6, getting themselves at second and third. Max Wiesel's got a great run up in towards turn 3. Will he make a move on the Ferrari in towards the braking zone? No, he won't. He'll stay behind just for now. So just Sereno also now up promoted into 4th position. Jerry Van Bossel sitting there in 5th. Big shame for him as well, to dropping all the way down to P5 after taking the lead at one point in this race earlier on. So he'll have to try and fight back through the field. And we can see Lenny Pinto down to 19th. And this has been such a dismal race so far for the Alpine/race coach team. Obviously, Thomas Gale, championship leader, started 18th, only in 16th at the minute. Lenny Pinto started on pole. Bit of damage, I think, ends him down in P19, unless he's going for a mega undercut, which would be stupidly early. Wouldn't it take in those tyres 25 laps from this point onwards as Race Imtiaz Thursday makes a move on Paul Lecomay for P17. And we can see now Sergio Sereno starting to gain in. So this could be a prime opportunity for Sergio to try and make him to put himself into the top 3. Because obviously he will pit most likely earlier than those, as he will need to go into a set of hards. The others will most likely go into a set of mediums. I don't think, as I said before, we'll see many soft tyres make a appearance in this race as Paul Lecomay goes into the pit. So I don't know if he's also got some damage, because he's 2 seconds back from Race Imtiaz before he entered the pit lane. So many people getting damaged. Many unfortunate races for many so far. But for Joseph and Daniel and Max, they're definitely loving this P1, 2 and 3.
I thought Stevens had spun then, but no, he hadn't. He's just carrying on his merry way. Now, Paul Lecomay did take a new front wing on the Red Bull. Lenny Pinto did not take a front wing in the Alpine.
Oh, okay.
I'd be very surprised if that wasn't a mistake of some description, unless he just opted not to fix the damage. But that was really early to come off of the hard tyres. I'm not entirely certain of Lenny's strategy there, but there was no front wing that went onto the Alpine.
Okay, so he must be going for a very early undercut then. That is very
That's
early.
a long way for mediums to go. I can understand hard to get that far, but mediums, really?
Well, we'll see if anyone else tries to do the same thing, as say all come through in towards turn 9 and 10. No one else headed into the pits just yet. Sergio Sereno obviously on the medium tyres. We can watch him to see when he goes into the pits, so we can then roughly know how long these medium tyres will last. Or he's currently been on for 12 laps. If he wants to do what Lenny Pinto has to do, he needs to take them another 13. So double what he's done already on those tyres as they head down in towards turn 3. We'll see no take from Jerry Van Bossel gaining in. He moves out the dirty air. So does Sergio Sereno move out the dirty air as well as they head in towards turn number 3. Daniel Kjelsen closing on the back of the Aston Martin. Drake Dempsey into the braking zone. To the inside goes the McLaren. Gets himself ahead of Drake as they head down towards turn 4. Bit of contact between them all. Jan Howden looking to try and make a move to the inside. They go 3 wide. Down in towards turn number 4. It's an Aston Martin and McLaren. Side by side. Jan Howden has the inside line as they head into the braking zone. Who will get through ahead? They still go 3 wide on the exit. And I think Drake gets pushed off. Jan still goes side by side with Daniel, but I think Jan might just have that edge. But Daniel will have an inside line towards turn 6. Can he keep that position ahead of the McLaren as they head through in towards turn 7? And I think, yes, he has. Great move there from Daniel, fighting with two Aston Martins and gets himself ahead of them, and also keeps himself in that DRS train.
I thought that was disaster waiting to happen, but everybody managed to keep their cars on the black stuff just about. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of 3 wides in positions we didn't expect to see. So this race may have taken a while to get going, but wow, it's proving to be worth the wait. As Joost Noordijk nearly slams into the back of Drake Dempsey in the Aston Martin. It had to really lock up hard to avoid that coming into turn 1. Bit of shuffling once again. Is anybody going to try and make the move? Not yet, but again, it's all about getting the exit right from Remus to have an opportunity down into Schloss Gold. So the two Hasses swapping round. Jan Halliday and Drake Dempsey in the Aston swapping round. Daniel Collier takes the lead from Joseph Loke. There's overtakes are going on all over the place. It was me saying we weren't going to see too many overtakes, and now they're happening at almost every corner.
They are. Saga Hardy's looking for a move there ahead of Drake Dempsey. Can't get a move done there, and the two TESs obviously having a bit of a battle in towards turn 4. Obviously cost him a bit of time, costing nearly a position for Drake Dempsey to Tygo Hardy. Remember, he's sitting 5th in the championship. He had a DNF out last time out in Vegas. At this point, not going to score any points here in Austria, so that would be a big shame for him in his championship campaigns. We couldn't see that Joost Noordijk heading into the pits off of his medium tyres. He's took them 13 laps in this race. He'll be dispatching himself onto a set of hards as he enters his second stint. And we can see now Joseph Loke gaining in on the back of Daniel Coe. Does he make a move for leading towards turn 3? Surely he will, because he's got a great run up in towards the braking zone. No, sits behind, sends it to the inside. Then Max Wiesel trying to go for a bit of a look around the outside. Can't do so, gets blocked up a little bit there. As that allows Sergio Sereno to go side by side with the Red Bull down towards turn number 4. Do we see a move from the Alfa Romeo into towards the braking zone? Because Joseph Loke's carrying a little bit of speed, so Sergio can't really send a lunge into turn 4. He has to try and do it a bit more conservatively as they head on the exit. And still, Max Wiesel keeping that third position, and we can see Sergio try and lunge it around the outside at turn 6. No, nothing he can do there, so he's stuck down in that fourth position in the Alfa Romeo. And a great job of defence from the Red Bull as they head down towards turns 7 and 8 and 9. And I think at this point, Max Wiesel, he's had a decent start. His qualifying was the best. He started P7, but at the moment he's probably got some of the best pace in this race. So I could definitely see him being on the card for victory.
A good shout, very good shout as King Goendorp now comes in. No new front wing for Joost Noordijk when he came in. Now we've got the Alfa Romeo of King Goendorp. I'll keep an eye on whether this is forced or not. Is there a new front wing going on for him? No. So that is a switch from hards to mediums. So we're about the halfway stage now, or not far off it. So not surprised to see now being a popular time for those pit stops to take place. He's going to slot in right ahead of Joost Noordijk and Liam Stevens, who are currently battling for 18th.
Yeah, so good job for Keane to get ahead of that battle, otherwise that could have caused some issues. Obviously, Joost Noordijk onto a set of hard tyres, Keane to go up onto a set of medium tyres. As further up we can see Legend Rosenberg looking for a bit of sniff up the inside of Tiger Hardy. I think he actually lost a position there, or at least lost quite a lot of time, because he's now 5 turns back from the AlphaTauri as they head down towards turns 7. And Lenny Pepinto obviously was the first to pit. He's currently the net leader of the race. He's got a 2.1 second gap to King Goendorp, and he's on 5 lap older tyres. He will be eaten up shortly by that Alfa Romeo, as that is Daniel Coe, I think, looking to go into the pits. It is Daniel Coe into the pits. It's Sergio Sereno into the pits, Jerry Van Bussel, Jan Halliday. That's Legend Rosenberg also into the pits. So a lot of people heading in on lap 17 of 36. Joseph Loke has that lead ahead of Max Wiesel, ahead now with the two McLarens of Simon Lekomsky and Daniel Kjelsen in 3rd and 4th, and then Drake Dempsey rounding out the top 5.
Yeah, and exactly as I just said a lap ago, this is going to be the popular time to make your pit stop, certainly the scheduled time. Obviously, if you having to do so on a slightly different moment, how is that going to shuffle up the field? Well, Lenny Pepinto is the lead car of those that have pitted, but he pitted 6 laps ago, just as Daniel Coe has managed to leapfrog King Goendorp up into Remus. So a bit of shuffling going on there, but there's quite a DRS train forming behind Lenny Pepinto in 11th.
There is, despite him having that undercut, it hasn't really helped him. He's still put himself out. What's that? 7 tenths back from Keane. Normally you'd see 3 or 4 seconds being the gap between the drivers that have done the undercut and the drivers that haven't. So quite surprised to see that undercut strategy not really making much work for Lenny Pepinto. Obviously his teammate Tamas Gout sitting in 9th. He's yet to pit as well. He'll come out quite far back from him. I don't think Tamas Gout will even be looking to score points today after that very poor performance in qualifying due to the track evolution being very high. We see 4 more put into the pits. We've got Joseph Loke, our race leader, into the pits along with Lekomsky, Dempsey and Max Wiesel. That now gives the lead to Daniel Kjelsen, Toga Hardy in 2nd and Richard Jacobs into 3rd. King Goendorp gets the fastest lap of this race. He's going to be looking for a move on the back of Lenny Pepinto, but the issue he's got is if he does get past Lenny will kick the DRS. If he doesn't, he's going to have a whole train behind him, and they will lose time because Lenny will be a lot. So look how quickly that gap has come down. It was, 2 seconds? 2 laps ago, it's now 1/10 into the braking zone at turn 3. That's also Daniel Coe looking for a move up the inside of his F7R teammate. Sergio Sereno ahead of Jerry Van Bussel, as well as they head on the exit down towards turn number 4. Do we see a move from Sergio on the back of Daniel? No, we won't have enough time to gain. Will we see a move from the Ferrari and the Alfa Romeo towards turn 4? No, we don't. Still sticking behind Lenny Pepinto, who's leading a great train at this point, isn't he?
Absolutely. So look at Joseph Loke, though, from the lead, now down to 12th, near the back of this particular DRS train. So that's not gone well for the Williams at all. It's in comes Kjelsen, in comes Jacobs, and in comes Gal from the top group. So only 3, I think it is, Tiger Hardy, Bradley Oldham, and Reyes Imtiaz yet to see the pit lane. Of course, they are having to dance around their teammates. Whether they are actually working as a team or not is up to them, but they are still having to share the pit box whether they like it or not. So Tiger Hardy leads the way, but he is going to be pretty much swallowed up by the rampaging cars behind, but look at Goendorp. He's getting past Pepinta because Koya looks to do the same on the inside, like coming up towards Remus. Who's going to win out here? Now, this is a battle for what is now fourth, but it is the overall race lead. Goendorp manages to get the Alfa Romeo back ahead of the Ferrari, and then he has another go, does Koya, on the outside line coming down towards Schlossgoal. Can he get the prancing or slow down? Yes, he can. That's Koya up to fourth.
Yeah, and then Lenny Pepinta down to P8. He's now got the Joe Van Bussel right behind him. Josie Float got past him into the braking zone. Sergio Sabrina got past him down to turn 4. This has been a very poor start in this race, and well, very poor stint so far for Lenny Pepinta. He's now under pressure from Joost Noordijk for P9 and 10. Joost Noordijk round the outside on the 4-lap-old hard tyres, gets himself ahead of the Alpine. Then we've got Simona Compson looking for a move all around the outside at turn 9. Then Max Wiesel looking for a move in towards turn 10, down towards turn 1. Max Wiesel gets a great launch, and Lenny Pepinta being eaten up by the field. We've still got 16 laps to go.
I didn't think the medium tyres would fall off that badly. They probably haven't. But because everybody else is on very, very fresh tyres, it's just got no answer. He was leading this DRS train. He is now near the back of it. Lekomsky has gotten past Joost Noordijk on the way up towards Remus. Loki is now arguing with the Alfa Romeo of Sergio Sabrino for what is going to be third overall. So the Williams, whilst I said he was disadvantaged with the pit stop strategy, is eating his way through the field at the moment. But don't discount those that have gone on to hard tyres. The medium tyres are going to be good for a while, but the hards will stay in their optimum range for that bit longer. And if they can stay in this DRS range, they may start to challenge before the checkered flag falls.
See, one thing that makes me question now is the fact of how early Lenny Pepinta went in. He's now under pressure from Mission Jacobs for 17th. Did he go to bits to change his front wing and it didn't change? Because that strategy, I can't fathom how that can work. He's down to 17th already. Yeah. It's got to be another stop, hasn't it? Surely for Lenny Pepinta. He's not going to take those tyres 25 laps. Surely not.
Yeah, I think that was a mistake. Yes. I think he intended to change the wing, but he also he was forced onto mediums. He was already on the hard tyres, so he could have gone into that sort of hard, but he would have had to have come back in anyway. So I think his day was absolutely ruined at the point that he realised he had to come in. So whatever the cause, we don't know, but that re-establishes the DRS train then from the lead right the way down, just about with Max Wiesel hanging on by the skin of his rear wing to DRS from Lekomsky. So the DRS train is now down to 13th place, with Lenny Pepinta continuing to fall away from the field. Very, very unfortunate for him, but considering what we've seen straight out of the box after the second pit stops, yeah, this is an absolute dogfight right to the end.
It is. Everyone in position to try and move through and get themselves even better. You can see Richard Jacobs in 13th. He's got better tyres than pretty much everyone ahead of him. He could see himself into some decent points positions depending on how the rest of this race goes. We've got people on the hards who surely will be under a disadvantage. Joost Noordijk on 7-lap-old hards already. He surely will start to drop through the field as well, unless he can hold on to it very well with his teammates sitting just behind. I think we've got a very interesting race coming through, and I think we'll see so many surprises in the grid. As now we can see Joseph Logan making a move into turn 3, takes on ahead of Daniel Conrad and ahead of Kian Goendorp. Now Sergio Sabrina looking to get himself ahead of Kian to the outside, and he goes down towards turn 4. No DRS for Joseph Loke. Outside line for Sergio Sabrina. Can he try and take P2? He'll have to go around the outside of Loke in towards turn number 4. Can he make the move work? No, he can't. Then we have Kian Goendorp trying to go back round the outside at turn 5. We'll give him the outside at turn 6 as well on Sergio Sabrina. I think Sergio might have it covered for now, unless we can see better grip around the outside for Kian. We do see better grip around the outside for Kian. Will he have to try and hold it around the outside at turn 8? Gives him the inside line. A little bit too far back, so Sergio Sabrina does claim that podium position there. We've got Jerry Van Bossel going side by side with Kian into turn number 9, and Jerry Van Bossel does get the overtake there on the F7R of Kian Goendorp. Great move there from Jerry Van Bossel, who, remember, at the start had a bit of a controversial move with, I believe it was Lenny Pepinta. He dropped all the way down to, I think it was about 6th position now. We've tried to make amends into 4th, looking to take 3rd. Lenny Pepinta with a 3-second penalty, going from bad to worse for the Alpine.
We can barely say the words fast enough. There's all kicking off. And again, Loke on Koya for the lead. Joseph Logue managed to nail 2 cars to get the lead on the last time around. Van Bussel and Sabrino. Now Lukomsky. Oh, the McLaren! Oh, wow, I thought Simon Lukomsky was booking a day with the wall, but manages somehow to keep the papaya car out of the barrier. I don't know how he did that. That was grip and hope, and he manages just about to keep the McLaren out of danger. But everyone is poised, ready to capitalise on the mistake from the car ahead. Oh my goodness me! Yeah, gotta feel bad for Lenny Babinta continuing to fall through the field. I think he's getting ready to park it, I reckon. Oh, he's got some kind of technical trouble because he was really off the gas coming through Verth there. So if he chooses to continue, fair play to him, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was actually some underlying technical issue with the Alpine, or it could simply be that's a damaged car that wasn't repaired last time around. Just going to have a look at the front wing. I think all the bits are on it. Unfortunately, the camera angle I had there wasn't particularly helpful. Yeah, the end plates are still on there. Doesn't mean it's not damaged. It's just not visibly damaged. And we can see as now Wiesel on Goendorp, Nordijk on Jacobs. It's all kicking off all over the place. Liam Stevens has come in again in the Mercedes. He is choosing to continue, in fairness. Fresh set of mediums for the Merc.
Indeed, and I'm also on board with Drake Dempsey. We'll see if he can get himself ahead of Keane Gondor to pull himself into P7. As you can see, Keane's on older tyres. That's why he's struggling a little bit more than the others around him. We can see as well Daniel Kjelsen, he's on the 5-lap old medium, so he was also going to be quite quick on track, along with Roshan Jacobs, who's currently sitting in P11. Rishon, I don't think has scored any points this season, so it's also the first time for him to try and score some points in season 35. He's got himself ahead of Joost Ornak. He's now going to try and get himself and dispatch Legend Rosenberg, who's on 2-lap older tyres, and the Mercedes. And you can see Rishon already gaining in towards the final couple of corners, down towards turn number 1 they go. And Rishon going to be gaining, but not enough in towards the break. It's not the first corner. We'll have to look for it down in towards turn number 3. You can see Daniel Kjelsen gaining in the back of Drake Dempsey as well, in towards turn number 1, down towards turn 3 they go. We'll see if we see any moves along the field. We can see everyone all following each other, moving out of the slipstream, trying to get themselves for a move prepared in towards the break. Is now at turn 3. Rishan launches up the inside of Legend Rosenberg. Legend turns in. Rishan still tries to get that move done. Rishan has still alongside with the Haas down towards turn number 4. It's down to who's got the best straight line speed, or who get the position in towards this 4th corner. Legend tried to push Rishan to the inside. Rishan has that better break and he has the better chance, and they make contact. Legend Rosenberg made contact with Rishon Jacobs in towards turn 4. I think Legend turned it a little bit too early, but Rishon luckily caught the car and kept himself in P10. That's now dropped him outside this DRS train. I think that was a bit of a silly manoeuvre from Legend Rosenberg, but still, they keep it on track. Legend in down to P13. Rishon going to try and get himself back into that top 10.
He's going to have to burn whatever battery he's got left for it. A lot of people with very little in the tank as far as that is concerned, and that is only going to hurt with any minor advantage being pretty much necessary to exploit at this stage in the race. How many overtakes have we seen? How many opportunist moves have we seen so far? Fantastic stuff. Loving every second of it. Yeah, unfortunate for Legend Rosenberg. Thankfully, he ghosted, so that didn't cause issue. As I'm keeping an eye on Kjelsen, who flirts with the gravel on the way up towards Remus. Can't get it done over Keane Goendorp, not at the moment at least, but he dumps the battery on the way out of turn 3 and does manage to get ahead of the Alfa Romeo. Liam Stevens, with his fresh tyres, stays the fastest lap. Just to remind us that he's still with us. All 20 cars still circulating. Also good to see.
Indeed, but obviously it's a shame for those at the back, Lenny, Paul and Liam, who've also had to take alternative strategies due to things that have happened in their race. I mean, they're currently sitting pretty much out of it and probably won't score points unless a safety car comes and saves them in the next 10 laps, which I think is probably very unlikely at this point. Because this is also a track that's quite a lot of runoff, so it's very rare people DNF into the wall. So people most likely just spin off and have to just collect the car without. Oh, and that's, I think, Rishon going very wide in towards turn 9. That surely will be a track limit warning for him, as he knows how to try and gain him back to that 1 second gap, and I'm starting to think was a bit tactical. Go a little bit wide at turn 9, get a good run in towards turn 10 and catch up back to the 1 second train. We've seen it before.
We have, yes we have. Koya having a look at Joseph Lowe coming up to Remus. He backed out of it a little bit. He wants to run down into Slosh Gold. He didn't want to give the Williams an opportunity to counterattack. But is he going to try it this time around, or is he looking at what Van Bussen behind him is doing? The F7R pair screaming down to what? And the rest of the field screaming on down towards Slosgold. No attempts to make the move. There's less than 10 laps to go, and those 10 laps will disappear very quickly indeed. But even throughout the field, there's still overtakes going on. Toko Hardy on Joost Noordijk for 12th position. The very fresh medium tyres proving good for the AlphaTauri as he now challenges Jan Halliday for 11th position. But Sergio Sabrino, don't discount him. Like I said earlier, the mediums will start to fall away fairly soon. Those hards are really going to come good at that moment, so he could still challenge for podiums here.
Indeed, and I'm on board with Tycho Hardy. Got a great run there on Jan Halliday, and his tyres 6-lap old, so he's probably on the best tyres at the moment in this race. He's got some great pace under that AlphaTauri. That's also Bradley Holder making a move there on Jan Halliday to put himself into 12th. Jan obviously now falling like a stone through the field on those 11-lap old hard tyres. Sergio Sabrino doing a great job to keep it in P4 with hard tyres himself. He's doing a really good job in this race, as that's Tycho Hardy up the inside of Rishan Jacobs in towards turn number 3. Rishan now outside of the points. Bradley Holden also looking for a run on the Mercedes to try and see if he can make a move into P11. But at the moment it's going great for Tycho Hardy. It started pretty poor. He was quite far out the points, but now he's in that side, that top 10, so he needs to gain back to Kean Gold up in 9th, get himself back into that 1 second, get himself a bit of DRS down towards turn 3 again, and he should comfortably be able to try and make some more positions in this race.
Easy for you to say. But yeah, this is absolutely fantastic. It's a really, really good race we're enjoying here. Drivers kind of settling down, probably rebuilding. Well, they actually are. I'm looking through the field, rebuilding a bit of EOS energy. Oh, that's Lukomsky that's gone a bit deep. Coming through the final turn, that's cost him valuable momentum here. Max Wiesel has a look on the inside line coming in towards Nicky Lauda. Doesn't challenge for that position. The one mistake is so costly. I mean, look at Legend Rosenberg. Look how far down the field he's fallen following that incident he had. There's Sergio Sabrino just about staying with the pack. He lost a few tenths there. Kjelsen and Dempsey arguing for 7th coming up in the Remus, along with Jacobs and Hold'em. Daniel Coyer, is he having a look at Joseph Loke? No, he doesn't commit to it. He's keeping himself known to the Williams, but not committing to the move just yet. We're burning through the laps pretty quickly, but equally, the longer you leave it, the more likely the guy behind you is going to try and have a go. So this is very, very tense for the drivers.
Indeed, and Tamas Skar there moving himself up into 16th ahead of Legend Rosenberg. Remember, he's our championship leader at this point, looking to score no points in this race, which gives Max Wiesel, if he can win, an opportunity to check the championship lead. If Daniel Coyer wins, he also, I think, has an opportunity to be right behind Tamas Gal. But yes, Max Wiesel, the only one in this field who can take that victory, who can take people in the stands away. He's currently in P6, so I can't see him taking victory today, but you never know what can happen. There's 6 laps left to go. Much chaos can happen, especially on the final lap between Joseph, Daniel, Jerry, sitting first, second and third, all moving out the train. So just win as well. Going to be a little bit of a mobile chicane, I think, at one point with those 13-lap old hard tyres. So heading to the braking zone down at turn 3, all slow through. Daniel Kjelsen, I think, went a little bit deep at there as well. He gets knocked off track by Drake Dempsey and Kean Goldulp, who goes up the inside. Daniel Kjelsen now down to P9, under pressure from Tycho Hardy for P10. They make a bit of contact into the braking zone, nearly 4 wide. Into the braking zone they go. Daniel to the inside. Tycho has to back out. Bit of contact. That's also Kean nearly on the grass as they come through. And now Tycho gets himself ahead of the Alfa Romeo. Can he get himself ahead of Daniel? No, he can't. Still behind, but he's on better tyres, so Tycho, I think, will start to fly through this field at this point. But you can see Kean not going to try and hold it back for now. Nothing he can do. His tyres, I think, are pretty much shredded at this point. He's 5-lap older tyres than Tycho Hardy in P9.
What you're seeing is drivers realising that their opponents have gone too deep and positioning themselves to cut underneath. So, again, great driver awareness from several people going on in this field. But, again, it is all going to be down to who is bravest to leave their move until the latest. Oh, there goes Coyer. Is he going to commit to the move? Yes, he does. Inside line, and Jerry wants to try and join in the party as well. Sergio Sabrino is waiting for an opportunity to pounce. Joseph Loke loses the lead. Is he going to lose too? Yes, he does. But DRS now to the Williams. Is Jerry going to try and challenge Daniel Coyer for the toss? But here comes Sabrino. The two try and challenge for the podium spot. Doesn't get in there. As Joseph Loke barrels up into Sloss Gold, try and get up to the third. To second, can't do it. Jerry denying him the opportunity. Absolutely brilliant. That all started with one move, and here comes Tycho Hardy. Inside line on Drake Dempsey coming through. Roush claims 8th position.
Yeah, and I'm also on board with Sergio Sabrino. He's trying to get himself ahead of Joseph Loke, who's now demoted to 3rd position in this race. And we can see, you know, I think all of these guys in the top 3, I think also Sergio at one point have been in the lead, but it's just every lap they're swapping and switching all the time because... Oh! Bradley Holden!
Bobby Holden bounced off of Drake Dempsey, tried to go side by side through Nicky Lauda, and the Ferrari
Safety.
bounced off and it's a full safety car, just as most of the field have passed the pit lane entrance. Watch those in the back. They will have a potential advantage as they can pit first and get behind the safety car.
Well,
Wow, you said it. You said it, Mr. Ritchie. You said that it wasn't likely for the safety car to come out. And that's exactly what we've got. Lenny Pipinto, our pole sitter, first into the pit. Stevens follows him. It's going to be soft tyres. No other choice. So the Alpine and Pipinto takes a new front wing. Why not? Why not take advantage of it? So Stevens is now the lead of those three that have pitted. Paul Eschelmeyer, well, where's it going to put him, I wonder? This is an incredible turnaround.
well, everyone will go to the pits, and I think, those three are a little bit too far ahead for now, so obviously they're not going to get jumped in the pits or anything. So, yes, it will be, I think, pretty much the same order after the pit stops, because everyone, I think, in this race will pit right now as they all head through. And does Daniel pit? Yes, no, Daniel stays out, okay. Joseph Floke stays out. Many people said it, but many people also headed into the pit. So we'll see what happens with this. This is interesting. So 4 laps to go to the end. The only ones that really will benefit are the likes of Jerry Van Bos and Sergio Serino, who are at the front of this train. If you're pitting and you're in P14, it's not really going to work too much at all. But if you're sitting 5th and 6th, Sergio and Jerry, they're in a good position now. So we'll see what happens. We'll have 2 laps of racing. So no DRS at all, so it's down to pure pace alone for Jerry and Sergio. I think all those further back, Tycho, Key and Ray, they're not going to make anything work. They're going to be too far back. There's too little left to go. If there was 6 or 7 laps, maybe they could make it work, but they're not for now. I think Daniel possibly could be safe, depending on how hard of a battle Drake and Stewart make it for P3 and 4. So yes, we've got a very interesting ending. In the chat, everyone, let us know who you think will take victory, because it's still very unknown at this point. We got 3/4 of the grid on soft. We got 1/4 of the grid, the top 4 on mediums. Let us know who you think will take victory in this race. And Yona says, Joseph is like a moving chicane. Daniel is fine. So we'll see what happens. Yona, you're an engineer.
The one in danger is Drake Dempsey. I reckon he is going to plummet. But it all depends on how long the safety car is out for. They may be defending here is very difficult because the track is very wide. So those medium tires are going to be absolute sponge compared to those fresh soft tires. Of course, those that are on the soft want the safety car to get in as quick as possible. It isn't going to do so until Paul Eschelmeyer, the last running car, is on the back of the field, or within a second of it, I think the ruling is. But if he doesn't do that, by the time the safety car has got to the end of Sector 2, which is somewhere around Verth, then he's going to do another lap, which is going to leave us 1 racing lap left. Now, of course, he can't absolutely floor it. He has a delta that he has to maintain. It looks like he is going to get there before the safety car gets to that particular line. So hopefully we'll have 2 racing laps to go. But it's someone, Tamino in chat, big chaos incoming. You better believe it.
Indeed, and Yona says, Daniel or Jerry wins here, so I don't understand why the back of the train would pit like Thomas your legend. You're now net P16, you could have been P5 and tried and hold on to some points. Obviously inside there from one of the engineers over at Ferrari, Yona Martins, and I don't believe he's engineering anyone here today. So Yona, out of Daniel and Jerry, who do you think has the most likely chance to win? The 17 lap old mediums or the 1 lap old softs? Because normally it would be quite an easy thing to say, but with only 2 laps to go, anything could happen.
And everything is going to happen, I suspect, when the safety car has been declared. It is going to come in. Daniel for the win, says Jonah Martins. Again, fair shout. That top 4, of course, with the same compound and similar life of tyre left. How is he going to feel? It's going to be chaos in our soft runners. That you can absolutely guarantee. But Danny Coyer backs up the pack. That, of course, is as he's allowed to do. Safety car has made it into the pit lane. Away we go. Coyer has floored it. We are racing here once more in Austria. Yep. Keep an eye on Van Bossel. He's already challenging Dempsey. Oh, he's got to be careful where he does the overtake. He can't do it too early. That's why he backed out of it. Wasn't over the safety car line. Why is he backed out of that? But gets the inside line for the top one. As Sabrino nudges the back of the AlphaTauri. Now, anything you've got left, dump it. As Max Vito gets boxed in behind Jerry Van Bossel. I'm not even looking at the top three as Joseph Loke tries to challenge Daniel Coyer. It's already Dempsey falling down to seventh. I thought he'd be in trouble, and that's exactly what has happened. So we've got 1.5 racing laps and lots of madness to come.
It is, and we've got Max Face up the inside into turn 4, 3 wide between Jerry, Max and Sergio. Sergio's off the gravel. Sergio's been around and he's out. Drake Dempsey out of the race, being caught there by Sergio Sabrino, who drops down to the back of the grid. Daniel Kjelsen ahead of Jerry Van Bossel side by side in towards turn 8. They go, and they will be round the outside, back up the inside for Jerry Van Bossel. But Max Faisal now looking to try and take victory. Simulakomski's next for him. Round the outside goes the Red Bull. Can he make the move? Sticky well. Bit of contact nearly between those two. Goes a little bit wide. Does the Komsky now? His teammate Yeltsin's going to try and make a move down towards turn 1. He does make a move towards turn 1, and now it's Max Wiesel against the top two.
Unbelievable stuff. Final lap. It is all going to come down to the numbers as Wiesel nearly loses the tail and catapults his car into the wall. Joseph Lowe dumps the battery. Is he going to channel Daniel Coyer? He doesn't want to do it yet, but can't take his eye off the fact that there's a charging Wiesel behind him. Oh my goodness me. It is, penalties now all over the place. Oh my goodness me. So Grandpa has just lost fourth to Kjelsen. Joseph Loke into the top spot. It's still anybody's game as Kjelsen dives on the inside of Schlosshoff for second.
More people round. I think someone else went, and that's Tiger Hardy gone round as well in this race. And it's still Joseph Loke leading. Then there's even more people battling through 2, 3 wide on the final lap of this race. And Joseph Loke still holding on to Kjelsen, who got ready. That's three of them off into the gravel at turn 9. What have we just saw? 3 people off the circuit. And oh my, Jerry Van Bossel to the race, and I can't hold anything, and I don't know what I've just saw. I'm in disbelief. But Daniel Kjelsen will round the final corner to take victory. Joseph Floke finishes second, Lukomski third, Kian Gondorp fourth, Joseldyk fifth. I'm trying not to laugh, but what have we just saw? I cannot comprehend that. I know it sounds unprofessional to sit here dying of laughter, but
it's a rebuild strike and noise there. That was disaster waiting to happen. 3 wide down a Verth. Are you mad?
3 wide. That was it Max? I think Jerry as well involved in that. I don't know what I just saw. That has got to be the most chaotic engine I've ever seen in my life. And Daniel, out of all that, takes victory here in Austria ahead of Joseph Floke, who holds on to that second, and Lukomski on those old medium tyres finishes third. And I can't hold this laughter in any longer. Oh my, I just cannot believe what we saw at all. So then we have King Goldwyn in fourth, Joseldyk fifth, Legend Rosenberg from the back of the grid finishes in sixth. And Yona, you said Legend shouldn't have pitted. I hope you take that back because he finishes in sixth. Tamas Gal 18th to 7th, Liam Stevens 8th, Paul Ackerman 9th, and Tiger Hardy does score points. Rishan, Jan, Lenny, Daniel, Grandpa, Reece Imtiaz, Jerry Van Bossel, Sergio Spino, Drake, Dempsey, and Bradley. None of them scoring points. I don't know which ones DNF'd and which ones didn't because I don't remember what happened at the end, but yes. I shouldn't laugh. I honestly shouldn't, but there's sometimes in commentary where you can't hold it in. And I still...
Yeah. Yeah, it's just one of those points where you have no words. Words are meaningless at this point. That was just, well, not meaningless, but words are not necessary for what we just see. That was balmy. Whoever said chaos, you are absolutely right. But 3 wide into Verth was never going to end well. But it's the thing, you've got 3 corners left. It is literally all or nothing. And unfortunately, can you imagine if that had come off for whoever was on the inside? That would have been such a heroic move. But sadly, it was pretty inevitable it was going to go wrong. And sadly, he took 2 people with him. But I didn't see all of the angles, didn't see who hit who initially. But, oh, God, yeah, brain is melted at this point.
Yes, that was one of the most only speechless moments I've ever had in my commentary career, honestly. There's just no words. We're going to try and get an interview to try and get some words out of the drivers if we can. I could understand if they don't want to.
Are you really sure about that?
But listen, we'll try. We'll try. It's going to be chaos. I'll look at the F2 general chat now, and I'm scared to speak to many of them. Let's just put that for sure. But
yeah.
that was something. Simon unfortunately can't join us for an interview. Hopefully we can get Joseph, and he normally joins pretty much every single time, and Daniel as well also was up for a chat, so we'll see if anyone will pop in to have a word in the interviews. I could understand if they don't want to, but it was something, wasn't it?
That's one word. I mean, in fairness, it was a brilliant race. And as soon as I saw Bradley Oldham detonate against the pit lane entry wall, I was going to say it wasn't his fault. It was a very opportunistic move to try it at a side-by-side coming down into that final turn. But as I say, it happened so quickly, I couldn't tell you who was at fault. But as soon as that detonation happened, I had a feeling the safety car was going to come out because, of course, that left his car stranded on track. So, once with so few laps left to go with the safety car, you knew it was going to be absolutely bonkers. I'm stating the obvious here because that's all the mental energy I got left.
3 wide into turn 8, saw 3 drivers head off circuit. Was Daniel Coyer, Jerry Van Bossel, I think it was Richard Jacobs. I'm just trying to piece it back in my mind now. I've had a minute to relax and bring all my thoughts together. And I just looked back in the chat, and that was also, it was also chaos in there as well. And I think that has got to be...
That sentence sums it up well. It was yes.
That has got to be the chaotic moment of F1 23. I think that is the most chaotic thing we've seen. The whole grid, all arguing, taking each other out. Sergio Spino got sent wide, hit Drake Dempsey, and all behind chaos breaks. We've got 3 people going 3 wide in towards turn 8, trying to copy what Lewis Hamilton did in qualifying in Austria. Then we got people even further behind that arguing. Then we had Daniel Kjellson get past someone else around the outside, and he's spinning them round. Yes, if you didn't want, if you just tuned in, go back about 3 minutes to the last lap, because you won't want to miss it. The drivers will, but you definitely won't.
And hold on for a wild ride.
But yeah, I don't think there's much else left for us to say now at this point. Tamas Gelbert, from being out of the points completely to now scoring P7, so he will get points. He will extend that championship lead to Max Wiesel, who scored no points, was looking for victory, could have took that championship lead away. But after all that chaos break loose, he ended up off at turn 8. Daniel Kjellson took victory, and I'm not going to... Well, anyone that got any position, I'm not going to say that position is certain, because there's going to be penalty galore through that grid. We'll see someone in P12 take P5 at this rate, because there was people taking each other out all over the block. So if you won, if you got second, if you got 5th, 6th, 7th, don't take that for granted. You could end up being higher or lower by the end of the shooting cars, because they are also going to blow up as well. There's going to be a lot of chaos there. But I think there's not much left for us to say now, is there? We didn't have much to say in the first place, but I think we've run out of everything completely, haven't we, Chris? And, well, it was something.
Yeah, not surprising that we haven't had too many takers to come and chat to us. I really do not envy the stewards after that. They probably have seen that and just gone, oh dear, we're in for a rough night.
Yeah. It was something, but that's left for us to say. We've summed up everything, and in the chat as well, as usual, thank you all for joining us for the Austrian Grand Prix here at PSGL PCF2. We'll be back next week for round number 6, where I forgot where we're at, so we'll have a look at the calendar where we have the time to. We are at Monza, which is yet again going to be cast down towards turn number 1 on the first lap, so get ready for that action. Obviously, come back as well on Monday for the console side, and obviously we'll be back here on Thursday for the... come back to Monday, then come back on Wednesday for E-Series, then come back on Thursday for PSGL, PCF2 through to F6. There's that much going on PSGL. I can't keep track of what's on what day. But yes, there's always something to look at PSGL, so make sure to keep checking on the YouTube channel, subscribe, get those notification bell on so you can actually get notified when we go live. But that is literally it from all of us today here in PCF2. We'll be back next week. Good night.